To include an area where I can type in the person's last name, I need to go back over to my activity main and insert another item. At the moment I've got a button and I've got a text view. I need a further item, let's just give it some space, called an edit text. Oh, there's the first one, edit text. And so the layout width is going to be wrap content and the height is going to be wrap content, and I want an ID so that I can talk to it in my program. So Android ID, and don't forget to choose the helper, otherwise you might have to type this all in yourself. Now it's an edit text, so I've got to give it a name. Maybe I just call it input, so that I know what I'm talking to in my program. There is one more thing that I'm going to do. I've got 3 items on the screen. If I run them now, you will see that, let's just make sure that's finished. If I run it now, you'll see that it's a bit squished and doesn't work very well. So I'm going to change the way it appears on the screen. I'm going to use something called a weighting. Let's get the emulator up. I'm going to use a weighting so that I sort of give each one of these, the edit text, the button and the text view, a different amount of screen real estate to play with. And I'm going to give the text view the most amount because that's what's going to come back. I'm going to give the edit text more than the button. And as you can see at the moment, what I've got, if I just type in there, is I can type and things move to the right. But to begin with, the area for the text was absolutely tiny. So I'm going to make that so the button appears roughly in the middle and the text from your web page appears on the right hand side, but we've got sort of an idea of how much text we need to type in. And I do that with an Android weighting. The way to do that, so for the edit text, Android, there's one called layout weight, and I can give it a value. I'm going to give it 1, and I'm going to do the same with the text view. I'm going to give that a value of 2. And I'm going to leave the button with just the default amount, which just means it will fill up the rest of the screen. So really what I'm speaking of here is I've got 3 elements and I've broken it down into 3 components, and I've given the edit text 1 of the 3, and I've given the text view 2 of the 3 components, and the button just fits in as a default width. So we can see that in action again if I run. Hopefully this will be a lot clearer to see and easier to type in. There we go. So you can now see that the text box takes up, we've given it some space. Before it was just on the actual cursor. Now it's got an amount of space. It's really split the entire screen into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. This has definitely got 1 piece. That's got whatever's left over, and this has got an amount of 2. So if I type in Smith now, you can see it still moves the buttons over. We can deal with that at some other point. But this is good enough for what we need. So when I press this button now, really what I want to do is pick up the value Smith and pull back the information. So this is going to work for whatever I type. Jones, still going to come back with Smith. Okay, so we need to handle that issue now.